Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Glad you made it. It's a social production. That's right. We're doing it. It's Friday, December the 12th, 2025. Thank you once again for joining me. Wherever you're tuning in from, whether it's Canada, mi familias, further down south, over there, in the Americas, all 50 states of the beautiful United States of America, further down south, even more beautiful people, Mexico, further down south. Can it get more beautiful than that? You sexy sons and daughters of bitches over there in South America, all the way down to Peru, Chile, over there in Europe, Asia, Africa, Antarctica, the North Pole, the South Pole. It's curious how we don't have an East and West Pole, but nonetheless, who put those poles there, and where we've got these so-called poles, but where are the pole dancers is the question. Where the strippers is all I'm at. Goes, oh, you gotta go to the North Pole, you gotta check out these poles that they've got, and the bitches that be swinging on these poles. I wanna see stronger bitches on them poles, because none of them bitches be bending those poles, and that's what's wrong with society today. That's neither here or there. Thank you once again for joining me. If you are in a submarine, hello. If you are, watching a volcano erupt, hello, arigato. Over there, and are you skydiving? We'll get to that later. Whatever you're doing, I hope you're alive and well. Let's sip of this shit right here. Thank you once again for joining me. It is Friday. That's good coffee right there. Let's get right into it. Lots of fun to be had again. If you've been with me from the get-go, you know what it is. Shoot the shit, talk about this, that, and the other. Have a little bit of fun, if we may, and get really close. Get really close, up close and personal with one another. Become a part of each other's lives, like we're inbred, like we're Siamese twins, or a little bit of distance doesn't hurt either. But nonetheless, we're touching. It's good coffee. Let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Exciting events occurring all around us. Tourisms, people traveling, tourists, not to be mistaken with the word can be mistaken with terrorists, which is not the good kind. You want tourists, not terrorists. Terrorists bad, tourists good. So again, tourists good, terrorists bad. Remember that one. Which one are you? I'm a tourist. Say that. Don't ever say you're a terrorist. Tourist is good, but people be touristing. Two individuals went down to Colombia. Many others do as well, but these two individuals went down to Colombia. A male and a female caught on camera. As the scene depicts, it's a beautiful day in Colombia. The weather couldn't be nicer. The tits couldn't be perkier. The coffee couldn't be stronger, because it's not actually coffee. It's actually cocaine. It's brown cocaine. It's 10 to 1 for the ratio of coffee to cocaine. I don't know ratios, but there's a lot of cocaine in that coffee, and people are loving it because it's Colombia. It's where that pure comes from. Some of it, at least. Nonetheless, two tourists went down there and they got caught on tape. They weren't doing anything bad. They were being tourists, doing touristy stuff. One male, one female, and then all of a sudden, one of them is about to get robbed. You might have seen this one. A man wielding a knife comes up to the lady and he's like, "Give me your purse," but in Colombian. And he's just like made of cocaine. He's just, because that's typical Colombian. You can see the powder under their nose. You can see the little vials that they carry, because that's how they make friends. They go up to one another, a bump of cocaine. They'll say that to one another in Colombian. But this woman was about to get robbed. And what did the man do who was with her? He kind of like walked behind the wall and hid. And people jumped on him, and people had their opinions, and they're like, "Oh, she's about to get robbed, and this guy's wielding a knife, and you're gonna go stand behind a wall." People may have said stuff along those lines, and they were judgmental essentially. But we don't know. We don't know why he went and hid behind the wall, and was it even hiding? Before we jump to conclusions, let us unpack this circumstance together, so that we may give this guy a fair chance at redemption. It's easy to say, yeah, jump in there, you're with a female. Another male stranger, danger, comes in with a knife and is about to rob the female, and you walk away. What is that? That is, I think that's progress. That is progress, is what that is. Okay, so you need to get your facts straight before you go judging this fella. It's progress. It's 2025. Men and women are equal in many departments. We said it. You guys said it. I didn't say it. I mean, all somewhat equal, but you know, we're striving for that equality. So she was getting mugged. They were both getting mugged, but he's stepped away, thinking. To the naked eye, it might seem as if he's just saving himself. No, he is giving her the opportunity to, you know, fucking stand, you know, 10 toes down, 10 toes up. I don't know what that means, to be honest. But stand on your business, I think is what it means. It's ableist, to be honest with you. I'm not even quite sure what that means. 10 toes, you gotta stand on 10 toes. On your shit, you gotta stand on 10 toes. It's literally everyone's got 10 toes. You have to really go out of your way to not be standing on 10 toes. Unless we're literally talking about getting on, not being flat-footed and getting on your 10 toes, which would, is this it? Is this standing on am I standing on my 10 toes? How's it feel to be dealing with a man who stands on 10 toes, dude? Is it what you wanted? It's me on my 10 toes? Does it make you happy now? All right, I can feel it burn in my calves. I think it's a little bit of a, you gotta stand on 10 toes calf workout. I think it's a movement like Fight Club, but you're not supposed to talk about it. Get those teardrops. Get those teardrop calves. 10 toes. Right there. So he was standing on 10 toes from a little bit of a distance, giving her the opportunity to fight back, bitch. Fight back. All that talk that we're all the same. All that, we're anything you can do, I can do better and all that. Look at my tits. She didn't fight back. Bystanders and a guy on a motorcycle hopped off and like smacked the thief on the head with his helmet. Eventually, I think everybody was all right, but yeah, and you don't know her. We don't even know the relationship between these two. All right, are they husband and wife? If that's the case, well, again, it's easy to be like, if your husband and wife jump in there and save your wife or your fiance or your girlfriend, but you don't know what kind of person she is, you know? Like, you and I can just see a stranger from afar and be like, yeah, save her. What if she's a terrible person? What if she's a horrible human being? And all this guy, the partner over there, was trying to, just let nature take its course. And we're saying, no, get in there. Interrupt the flow of nature, as did all the bystanders and that guy on the motorcycle, by the way. He jumped in there thinking, you don't know that bitch. She could be the worst person. She could just, be torturing kittens in her basement. She could be, skinning people alive. You don't know what kind of person. She might have traveled down to Colombia to buy cocaine and do human trafficking. You don't know that, but you're like, you gotta save it just because she's a female. So before you jump to conclusions, all I gotta say is that, hey, we don't know the facts. This does not, to the naked eye, it does not look so swell for this fella. It was like, and we don't even know their relationship. You don't even know what if they're just like, what if they're siblings? What if she was really mean to him the entire day? Do you expect him, this is why you got out of your former relationship. She's like criticizing him all the time. This is why he could work with that chick. And he's been just hearing that while he's down in Colombia. All he wants to do is snort a little bit of cocaine, have a little monkey climb on his shoulder, and sip a little bit of espresso and have a little bit of fun with the tan titties. That's what Colombia is all about, tan titties. And probably much more as well. I've never been, I'd like to visit, and all she's doing is just that right there in his ear the entire, so he's like, finally, someone's on my side, and all we can do is just stand there and judge. I've had enough. Yeah, she could be a terrible person. She could be, she could be endangering animals' lives. She could be that gal. She could be that bitch. She could be that bitch, all right? Maybe she made a horrible comment about his outfit that day. Think about that. What about that? You went down to Colombia to build up your self-esteem so you can go back home and, one step at a time, build yourself back up. All she can do is just nag. I don't like the way your shirt looks. Are you wearing sandals? It's Colombia. He can wear whatever he wants. All right? So there you go, defending this gentleman who got bombarded by a ton of comments and everybody coming in and just jump into conclusions. Yeah, on what's a man's role when he's hanging out with a female, you know? Oh, typical male, just look at us as a piece of meat protector, huh? That's what society wants. That's what Neanderthals and dinosaurs want us to think of one another, just pieces of meat. Just look at this protector piece of meat. Yeah, we're more than that. Mostly that, but you know, sometimes we could some more or less more of that. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's not be, that's what I just saw on my feed, and I'm like, oh, this poor bastard. So shout out to the tourisms, shout out to the bystanders, but again, before you start patting yourselves on the back, you're like, we saved the day. She could go out there and do murder for all you know. You know? Think about that. You just helped a murderer. Taking a trip all the way to Florida. Let us move along to Florida, shall we, together? Choo, choo, choo on this train. Because it's Florida time. A beautiful Florida man, a Floridian, a man who's from Florida, a Florida man, who's caught by the police. Apparently, he smashed a BMW, allegedly stolen BMW, traveling at 130 miles an hour, and upon getting arrested and being handcuffed, he told the police officer he was saved. He thanked the police officer. He said, you guys saved me from the aliens. I teleported here. He said that. He said that to the police officers. And again, today, I guess one of the undertones for today is just let's not jump to conclusions before we just because we hear stories all the time. We're like, what does this all mean? And we take it at face value. Before we, dismiss this fella and put the cuffs on him, could he have not been teleporting? Have we not come across teleportation yet? I like to leave that to the audience. Didn't we? No teleportation as of yet? God damn it. What about all this talk about aliens? Aliens this, aliens that, and again, I don't know. I like to believe. I like to think that there are other, creatures, entities, forms of intelligence out there. I've not yet seen anything really, friggin' tangible that I could be like, yes, we can grab this, and this is facts. Now this facts fucks. This is the type of facts that fucks. That's, we haven't, there's little bits of pieces of, grainy images and reports that only go so far and people can't talk about it. But this fella, and that's the thing, that's our perception. You hear a fella saying he just teleported, and the thing is like, all right, buddy, clearly you're off the reservation, or I don't know what that means either. Oh, you're on and off the reservation. You've gone off the reservation. You've made a reservation. You didn't show up. You lost your deposit. Your wife left you. Boo-hoo, you're off the reservation. You're back on the reservation. You're Indian. Not the Indian, like not the spicy Indian, but you're on a reservation, like the other Indian that likes nature. Well, they both like nature, don't they? I don't know, to be honest with you. I've never really asked. Maybe one of the groups of Indians likes the nature more than the others. I don't know, to be honest with you. They're both in touch with nature. One could say that. One of them likes cows. The other one doesn't mind cows, certainly. I've not heard of a Native American or Canadian or an indigenous person saying they've got beef with cows, so I don't know how. But that's neither here or there. The point is that this guy is off the reservation, we'll say. That sucks. I like to be able to just, what happened to just taking people's word? What happened to just looking at each other dead in the eye and say, you know what, I believe you, I trust you. If you say you teleported, then take me to the teleportation device. Take me to the aliens that abducted you. I would have liked to seen that. I didn't, of course. It sucks not being able to, I just want to see, did we not, I read a little bit of something a while ago, and I can't even remember the whole thing, but I think we've done a little bit of particle teleportation, like moving particles. I think we've done that a little bit, or like moving, I don't know what I'm talking about. And that's one of the pillars of this podcast. One of the many pillars of this podcast is that I don't know what I'm talking about. Feels like we should be able to teleport if we move really fast, Or like bend time over and just put it in the, bend time over a counter and just have her with time. That's how you teleport. You just bend, if time could be flexible, you just put time's legs over her head and just pound that time puss and until you see some squirtage, and there you just teleported, I think. Bend time over and spank time until you teleport. That's how you teleport. They don't want to talk about that. All this talk about physics and, black holes this and dark matter that. Nobody tells you that you need to work on your, touch your toes, stretch. If you want to bend time over a counter, over a bench, in a park, in a telephone booth that's not been used since the 80s, anywhere, really, you just got to bend time over. But yeah, I just felt bad for that man because he did get caught, allegedly stole the BMW and crashed it 130 miles an hour. Teleportation story not bought by the police officers, rightly so, but hopefully one day we will get there. Hopefully one day we will get to a point where somebody comes and says, yo, I just teleported. I'll be like, no way, dude, I just teleported too. Hopefully we'll get there one day. That's the thing. Is there? We didn't even think for a second this guy could be telling the truth. That's how far-fetched the idea seems, and it sucks because it's like, oh, somebody at this point, somebody has, where's that secret tech in a basement, like 20 floors deep in an underground tunnel somewhere in a mountain somewhere? Where's that tech? The teleportation tech? Where's the shrink ray? Let's get a little bit of that bad boy. But that's neither here or there, ladies and gentlemen. That's just a little bit of news from Florida. What else is going on in and around the world? Lots of exciting events. Now, when it comes to the jism, I know a lot of people want to get out there and, I'll get my jizz from my fella. You'll say that, ladies. Bitches know what I'm talking about. Shout out to the bitches. Leave a comment. If you know, you know. Yeah, a lot of people want that jism so they can get that baby batter out. The male specimen inserted in their vaginal canal. Let it do its thing. 9 months later, set it, forget it. It's baby town. Some people can't do that. Some people have to resort to, third parties to get their jizz. Some people can't have that, firsthand access to jizz, and they go to banks, and they did this. 197 cases in Denmark through a sperm bank. Went and got donations. They purchased it, actually, I believe. You got to buy it. They're not just, there's not somebody in Denmark or anywhere else for that matter that I know of just handing out jizz, just willy-nilly jizz donations. I don't think that's happening. But the sperm bank apparently didn't do all it could, or it did the most it can, but they didn't know this. Apparently the genes that were in that sperm, there were cancer-carrying genes, and 197 children in Europe ended up with cancer-carrying genes, and they got cancer and they died. Moral of that story, get your jizz from a trusted source. Get your jizz from a trusted source. So, you think you're going to a sperm bank, that this is a reputable sperm bank, that, there's, the walls are made of jizz, the tables are made of jizz, the counter is made of jizz, the people who work in this bank are made of jizz, they hand you a form and a pen to fill out, and that's made of jizz. They're typing in computers in front of them, which is made of jizz. So you're like, all in all, looking at this place, the parking lot that I pulled into, made of jizz. My car immediately turned to jizz as soon as I turned into this parking lot. You can smell the bleach in the air. You're like, this feels right. I'm in the right place. And you get in there and you got yourself some cashola and you just put it on the table. You're like, give me some jizz. And somebody just comes in with a bucket and pours it all over your fiance. Because you got that weak sperm. You got that, or you got a good sperm, but she's like, her internals need some extra strength jizz, like extra strength Tylenol, but for jizz. Bigger jizz, big black jizz, big strong black jizz, big white jizz, big yellow, just big, forget the color, just big, jizz that works out, jizz that sperm is, jizz that exercise, You see that little sperm doing pull-ups and push-ups? That's sperm, that kind of sperm. And you got that. You're like, oh, they did the test, they checked it out as much as possible. And next thing you know, your baby's dying out there on the streets because of cancer, and that sucks. Moral of that story is do your due diligence. Get your sperm checked, especially if you're getting it from a sperm bank. Which, by the way, they say that, you know, you put the sperm in the bank and then go to retrieve your sperm. And sometimes, people have done this a lot of times. You put the sperm in the bank and one day you're like, let me have my sperm back. And they're like, oh, what, all your sperm? You want all your sperm? You're like, yeah, I like all the millions of sperm that I've donated. I like them all back. And they're like, oh, we got to talk to a bank manager. We don't actually hold all the sperm in the sperm bank. And you're like, I just want my sperm, buddy. I don't know what to tell you. I just want to collect my sperm. And they're like, well, are you sure? Maybe take a quarter of your sperm today. Why would you even need all that sperm? They'll say that straight up at the bank. They'll say, which is concerning, because where does all the sperm go? If not in a vault in the bank, where does it, you know, what are you guys doing with the sperm? If I want to, because that's the thing, before technology, we're all familiar with the story. You know, people used to carry their sperm on their person. Now it's like, oh, you know, theft, inflation, you know, put your sperm on something that has a yield, make some profit with your sperm. And then one day you go to get your sperm and all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, what sperm? We're not carrying any sperm. We don't even have that much sperm in our, and it's crazy because it's like, yo, just give me my sperm, dog. Give me my sperm. So moral of that story is get your sperm checked out, even more so than that's already been checked. You check it more, because apparently they check it, but they don't check it thoroughly. Like really, you know, just get binoculars and get a telescope and really stare at that sperm before you put it in your vag, because it could be, better yet, I would suggest, instead of going through all the medical procedures, take a chance, roll the dice. What happened to rolling the dice? You want a survivor jizz? Say what you will about the homeless, but you've seen some of them. Every year, they're facing the elements. Survivors. Most people wouldn't make it on the streets, but you see some of these beautiful people who are thriving. You know, and that's a stretch on the word thriving there. It's a little bit of a, you know, but they're still existing out there. Most sperm couldn't make it out there, but some of these guys are fucking, you know, nice shine to their beard, you know, hair's a little bit messy, but still got hair. How does that happen? It's like not the best nutrition or diet or exercise, but still, you know, give them a wash, you know, put a little spit shine on that bad boy. Could be proper gentleman one day, who knows? But the point is, get your sperm anywhere you can. It's really a roll of a dice. No longer can banks, that sperm bank, no longer can these sperm banks be trusted. So moral of that story is get your jizz off of a homeless person. Buy him a donut and a coffee and a hot meal. Maybe sit him down in your car for a few minutes just so they warm up. Jerk them off, get that sperm, and save yourselves thousands of dollars and the risk of potential cancer-causing genes. Get it from people you know. You don't need to go to a bank. A lot of people are like, oh, there's probably somebody in your circle. Even if your circle is extremely tiny, you must know somebody that is got a little bit of jizz. You don't need to go to the bank, man. We don't, you know, forget the establishment, man. That's what I say. Get it from somebody. Get it from your dad. Get it from your brother. Get it from your cousin. Get it from your friend. You know somebody. You don't need to go to a bank to get a little bit of jizz to get pregnant. You know? At least see the individual you're getting it from. 197 people died just fucking, oh, look at this baby. And then boom, cancer. Don't trust the banks. That's what I say. McDonald's, ladies and gentlemen, let us skirt for a second. McDonald's just put up an ad in the Netherlands, an AI ad. And apparently it's that season, it's that time of year, and I love this time of year, baby. It's fucking Christmas season. You can feel it in the air. The air is crisp. The trees are kind of naked, unless they're evergreens. Then those guys are fucking looking great in comparison to all the other trees. Snow on the ground, snow in your eye, snow in the tip of your cock. It's that time of year. Nothing like the smell of crisp vag on a nice fall or winter jog. You smell that? That's a crispy, that's a frosty vag right there. That's that Christmas vag. You can smell it in the air. Might just be a little bit of an infection. It might be that you're smelling that. It might also be that. But the point is, it's the holiday season, man. It's a special time of year. It happens in the coldest months, and it warms your heart up. If I were to say which is the most wonderful time of year, I'm a summer guy, personally speaking, but I do enjoy Christmas a lot. I do enjoy the holiday season when it's just like, oh, the trees are lit, people are, fucking buying gifts, families are gathering together, friends are gathering together, having meals. You feel the love. Feel the love of Jesus in your heart. And we're celebrating with people that we love. It's nice to have people in your life. And sometimes you might be doing it alone, and that's nice too. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, it's a beautiful time. It's for me personally speaking, summer is the most wonderful time of year. But you've heard the song, it's the most wonderful time of the year. You've heard that song many a times. And then McDonald's went ahead and put out an ad in the Netherlands, and then they pulled it down. It was an AI ad, and they changed the words to the song. It's the most wonderful time of the year to it's the most terrible time of the year. And it was a ad that just depicted people having a difficult time. I watched it for a brief moment, which I can't even recall what happened in the ad, but it was just showing people having a difficult time, the buying gifts that are exploding in their faces, driving out of the driveway and then, getting punched in the face by a criminal, trying to put the star on top of the tree and then the tree just, stabbing him with a needle filled with AIDS, handing somebody a Christmas present only to receive a bottle of acid in their face. Oh no, helping a stranded a little baby lamb that's stranded near a Christmas tree, and then the baby lamb turns into the devil and then he kicks the person in the nuts, and it's like, oh, it's the most terrible time of the year. More or less the gist of that advertising, I can't remember, to be honest. It was just showing people having a difficult time is what it was. And it's like, come to McDonald's if this is a terrible time of year for you. And yeah, a lot of people didn't like that. It got backlash, and so they took it down. But I do gotta say, what is the point of advertising, ladies and gentlemen? Advertising 101. Or advertising, has it always been 101 or is it LOL? Think about that for a minute. Not longer than that, of course. But yeah, the whole point of advertising is to get you to talk about the product. What are we talking about right now? McD's, look at this. What they did was do something that would get us triggered because they know we love Christmas, dog. They know we're fucking, they know we're rooting for JC all day, every day until Christmas comes around. They're like, well, these guys like JC and it's that time of year. Let's aggravate them. And next thing you know, we're like, oh, you see that McDonald's commercial? I'm so aggravated. And while you're staying there, you're stuffing your face with a Big Mac. Got that special sauce dripping from the side of your mouth. Or is that just cum? Who knows? The point is that the ad itself did the job. Now, was it, of course, to my liking or your liking? Probably not, but it did the job. Low-key did the job, because that's all we're all talking about. McDonald's advertising goes bad on Christmas. And look what they did. Brought in the customers through the power of negging. You son of a bitch. You did it again, Golden Arches. I'm a fan. I like McDonald's. Always like McDonald's. Quality of food, of course, could be better everywhere around the world, globally speaking. It's not the best way, and this is not, no. Breaking news. It's not the best form of food. Yeah, it's not. Standard, though. Standard, kind of what you're getting. But I have seen instances where, people depict images of their experience with McDonald's or other fast food places, which are, sometimes lowering their quality. The burger size is getting smaller. The fries getting a little bit smaller. The drinks are getting a little bit, they're watered down. Is this Coke or is this CAC? What am I drinking? It could always use a little bit of improvement, but nonetheless, for what it is, I like it. I'm a fan of McDonald's, and this podcast could easily be brought to you by McDonald's, which is not a devil worshipping, Satan worshipping company. I'd like to believe, or they could easily. Well, it could also be. I don't know. It could also be a company that's ran by Satanists who don't like Jesus and Christmas. It could also be that. It could also be that they're fucking trying to attack us from all sides, coming after what we love the most, especially during these times, the holiday season, which gets really emotional. Because about family, friends, and community. They want to take that away from us. Not today, McDonald's. I'll still eat your burgers, but I'm going to be a little bit just, head on a swivel and just a little bit skeptical of your messaging, sir. They want to take the spirit of Jesus out of our hearts and put the spirit of Satan back in our hearts through mass consumers. And is that what you want us to do, McDonald? Oh, we see right through you. We can't see right through you. We can't. We simply are not with our naked eyes. Maybe with some technology we can see through you. Maybe we can see through walls, like using Wi-Fi, like using, X-rays and some sort of, virtual reality or augmented reality, but not with our naked eyes. We can't see through you, but we kind of see what you're doing. But it worked. Good on you, McDonald's. Skirt, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Reading an article about fire. Apparently, the researchers found that they just discovered this, that we humans, or parts of humanity, some kind of humans, apparently we created fire 350,000 years earlier than we already thought. We invented fire. Humans, Neanderthals, maybe human Neanderthals, mostly Neanderthals, maybe mixed with humans. I don't know, to be honest with you. I didn't know when we invented fire, to be honest with you. I thought it was a really long time ago. But apparently they found evidence. And the evidence was a little piece of rock and another piece of rock that looked like an axe. And they said due to this small piece of rock, which resembles a small piece of an axe and a rock that is pyrite, we can tell that 350,000 years ago we invented fire. Then I'm like, oh man, when did we invent fire? When did we come up with fire? And then I looked it up quickly. And it said on the interwebs that fire has been with us for like 1 million years. So I'm like, which is it then? And up until now, did we think that we invented fire 50,000 years ago? Because now they're like, origin of fire dates back to like 400,000 years. I'm confused because now you're throwing all these numbers around. You're like, first you're like 350,000 earlier than we thought. So I'm like, when did we think we have it then? And then you throw in 400,000 because they threw it in there. They're like, yeah, we've had fire for 400,000 years. I'm like, who's we? And they're like, not us completely. Neanderthals. And then I'm like, when did Homo sapiens make fire? And then there's another debate. I was like, where those guys come from? When did they come from? And then there's other articles saying we've had fire for like 1 million years. Some even are trying to push it back to 2 million, but that's apparently a little bit far-fetched, which just got me questioning, when did we come up with fire? Apparently this little piece of rock found under some dirt in the UK says we found it 350,000 years ago. That's when we did fire. And, us and Neanderthals, or maybe mostly Neanderthals, Neanderthals with fire, but like we were there somewhere, which just made me, again, I've thought about this again, and this is just fire, but that's, again, simple fire. You take it for granted. It's in your Bic lighter. It's in your Zippo. It's on your kitchen, it's on your stove. It's in your car. It's in your trains. It's in your engines. It's what gets your jet going. We take it for granted though, but that's one tech that just kind of propelled everything else forward. We had better tasting food because of it. Our brains got bigger because of it. And really, we don't have a clear date as to when we got it, from my understanding at least, because it could be anywhere between like 2 million years ago, and then then how far back do we go? And we've had this conversation before. How far back does humanity go? And what other forms of technology have we maybe had earlier? You know what I'm talking about? Have we had other forms of technology earlier? That's what it reminded me of, and it's one of those questions that's kind of always linger in the back of my mind, and might be lingering in the back of your mind as well. Is this the reality that we're living in, or are we just kind of low key? You know, is there another reality that's like using better technology and we just get like, they slow drip, you know, here's a new phone and we're like, oh, look at this fancy phone. And then who knows what else is out there. So that's why I'm like, here's a guy that shows up and tells you he's teleported. The first thing we do is say, yeah, right, buddy, we teleported over here. And most likely he didn't, but still low key, which other forms of technology? Because fires, it's not clear when we got fire, I'll tell you that. I'm not quite sure when we got fire. How do you keep a record of that, by the way? Just because you found it, because that's the thing, they'll show you a clip of a video with a guy who's an archaeologist, and I love archaeology because fucking like Indiana Jones shit all day, every day, but you see a guy holding a piece of rock. This is pyrite, and clearly this pyrite was a piece of axe, and they smashed the axe together with the pyrite, and they made fire. When they make it? 350,000, but you just look at a rock and you say 350,000, it's a little bit, just hard for me to, I don't know is all I'm asking. Is when did we really invent fire is all I want to know. And did we have other forms of technology prior? Do you know? Did we come up with computers earlier? What about elevators? When did we make those? Electricity, what about that one? When were we really, you know, was it the way we thought it was, or is it just leads you down a rabbit hole, which is confusing at times. It makes you feel like, oh man, wish we could know more. Just wanted the thirst for knowledge. That's what drives this. This guy's thirsty. You could say that for knowledge, and I am. Like to figure out more things. Hopefully one day we will together. But that's just fire, man. And it got me pissed off because I'm like, when did we make it then? When did we make fire? And how old are humans really? I'm not buying that 250,000, even 350,000 mark that they've thrown in there. We might be older than, you know, we might be millions of years old. Again, not the first time we've had these thoughts together, but again, that article about the fire just kind of reignited the whole thing. And I'm like, we might be older than we thought we were. And that's cray cray. That is cray cray. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to another corner of the world, Australia. You've been getting pre-made homes from China are being shipped to Australia and getting installed in Australia, and that's shaking up the whole business of construction and housing, essentially. But they're, prefab homes. They're getting, you know, they're manufactured partially and then delivered to Australia, and they just plant them down and they put up the walls, and it's, you know, affordable, cheaper, takes less time. And it just made me think, you know, it's got pros and cons, and I like to see more of this sort of thing. Am I happy that it's, you know, coming from China? I'd like to see maybe more of us doing that sort of thing. Innovating, creating other forms of tech that could assist in building homes, which we already are, but everything seems like it's moving extremely slow in some aspects. Because I've seen videos, you know, tech. There's apparently a robot that can build a house in like 24 hours, multiple houses in 24 hours. It's just this robot just fucking 3D printing houses and carrying shit over and like, you know, doing it all by itself, and with the assistance of maybe a person or two, just overlooking things. But the tech is out there, whether it's pre-made homes, whether it's 3D printed homes, whether it's just a robot, you know, using the facilities, the tools that's at a construction site and building a home from scratch. It's exciting. Yeah, this one's a little bit alarming, of course, because the tech is moving in from China to places like Australia. Where could it land next? I don't know. Maybe Canada, maybe the US. Could we not pounce on that and make our own homes much faster and quicker? Of course, that brings the question, which, you know, would that impact the prices of already existing luxurious houses? No, they could stay and remain luxurious for, you know, for the people who have that. But also, housing is a global issue. It's a really big problem for a lot of countries, a lot of nations, a lot of, you know, it's really expensive to get a little bit of, you know, real estate. There's millions of dollars for, you know, a little 100 square foot apartment in any major city around the world. That's cray. So am I happy that these homes are getting, you know, shipped from China to Australia? You know, not super happy about it, because that's the thing. You open up that house and it's like, oh, it's, you know, made in China. You put up the walls and all of a sudden you see like a Chinese fella just come out the wall, dude. You'll see that. You'll see that. So we got to pounce on this and make our own Canadian, Australian, US made homes that are, you know, using the current tech and even future tech or prior tech that's been kept hidden from us, who knows, to make it a little bit more affordable on people. Hopefully we can do that. Or unless you want to get that Chinese Temu house that, again, you put up the chimney and all of a sudden it's the middle of the night. What is that? Santa Claus? It's 2 Chinese ninjas fucking crawling down the chimney, spying on your wife and yourself while you're 69ing, and they're fucking video and they're recording it on their smartphones, on their Chinese smartphones that's built in a, you know, fake Apple factory, and it looks exactly like an iPhone. You're like, are you recording me and my wife 69ing on an Apple iPhone? And he's like, no, this is the grape. This is the grape phone, my phone. That's what they'll call it. And the logo's maybe a grape, but half the grape has been like eaten. It's like one grape, you know, or like, you know, it's like, no, this is a banana phone. It's not an apple or a pear. Instead of one bite taken out of the apple or the pear or the grape or the banana, maybe they took 2 bites out of it, and that's their logo. And they're like, it's completely different. And you're like, it looks really similar to the iPhone. And they'll deny it. So yeah, unless you want, you know, Chinese spies built into your homes, let's make our own homes using technology that we already have. So moral of that story is, do you want Chinese men being shipped in your homes and installed on your property or not? What if they put like females in the homes? Then I could see how that could be like, I'd be all right with that. I'd be okay with that. You know, you put up a new home, you put the, you know, you go to the kitchen and there, you know, she just, like a ninja, she'll just roll out of the wall and maybe do the dishes. Because that's what females are good for. And other things too, but you know, that's Chinese made homes, man. Deal with it. Deal with it. Just want to take this time. Congratulations. An Australian skydiver just the past few days was caught on camera skydiving or about to skydive, and his parachute got, let me just give you a few more claps. Good job. Good job. This guy's parachute, as he's about to make the jump from the airplane, somehow gets stuck on the tail of the airplane, and you know, pops off a little bit earlier than expected, and he's out there dangling. And again, congratulations, sir. You did it single-handedly. You made one of the coolest activities out there look extremely lame. So congratulations for making skydiving, which is up there with snowboarding, the X sports, the wrestling, both types of wrestling, you know, Greco-Roman or Roman Greco, and also, you know, WWE wrestling. It's up there, skydiving, but you made it single-handedly. You just, congratulations. I say he got down safely, of course. They helped him out. You ruined the entire experience for everybody with your flimsy and careless, you know, your devil-may-care attitude towards parachute safety. Luckily, nobody got hurt. But once again, congratulations to single-handedly, almost, you didn't ruin the entire sport of skydiving, but you came really close, all right? So nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see a parachute get stuck on an airplane. That's just my personal take, unless you guys are like, we love it when parachutes, you know, open up by mistake and get caught in an airplane's tail. And we love that, unless you're that, but we don't pander to that portion of the population. We're here for actual skydivers. So next time you want to take something that's beautiful and ruin it and piss all over it because of your selfishness and your devil-may-care attitude towards safety and going when it's your turn, you're lucky there are people out there helping you out. But again, congratulations. You survived. You almost defecated on a sport that's carried mankind for a long time. I'm not going to put a time limit on it because who knows how long we've had that one for as well. Who knows? Have we had aircrafts prior to our knowledge, or who knows? The point is, yeah, you didn't succeed. You try to take something that's beautiful and near and dear to everyone's hearts, and that's skydiving and parachutes, and you try to make a mockery out of it. You did not succeed, of course, because there's individuals out there who believe in saving things that are good. Some people have made the comparison of saying you're like ISIS. You're like ISIS to ancient archaeological sites, but you know, you're not ISIS, but your relationship to the art of skydiving is ISIS's relationship to, like, you know, historical sites there, and art. You're a Philistine is what you are. You disgust us, and yeah, we're all happy that you're alive, but trying to ruin something so beautiful for many people, it's selfish. But again, it's the Holy Spirits and the season is upon us, so we're not gonna let you be Grinch over here, okay? So yeah, nice try, buddy. Nice try. And this is not representative of all Australians. Australians are beautiful people. We're not gonna let one bad kangaroo make all the other kangaroos catch STDs and ruin kangaroo sex for us, all right? We're not gonna let one bad barbecue, all right, make us stop eating barbecue. We're not gonna just let one, you know, bad experience with nature make us not go out into nature. We're not gonna just say that, you know, you might be, you know, you thought you were a knife, but you're not a knife. The rest of those parachuters and skydivers are knives. You're not gonna, you know, yeah, man. So that's fucking, yeah. You're not gonna ruin Mel Gibson for me. You're not gonna ruin Mel Gibson for me. I know he's like American, but like born in Australia, right? But you're not gonna ruin him for me. So there you go. You tried with your lame parachute attempt and skydiving attempt, but you're not gonna ruin that. You're not gonna ruin Nicole Kidman for me, all right? That's not representative of all Australians. You're not gonna do that for us. It's Christmas. Selfish son of a bitch. A Scottish singer was just caught on camera, allegedly losing it on a fan. What's her name? Shirley Manson? Is it Shirley Manson? I don't know her, to be honest with you. Never heard of her until today or yesterday, and that's okay. She allegedly lost it on a fan because a fan at the concert had a beach ball with him, and she just got triggered, and people are like, oh, again, what do we say about one of today's themes or undertones? Not judging a thing based on its, you know, based on our first glance at it. Let's not jump to conclusions. That's what we said initially. Half circle. This is half circle. This is the half circle moment. Will things ever become full circle? We might not. Who knows? The point is that Shirley Manson, ladies and gentlemen, that's the name of this singer and songwriter, artist, Scottish. And yeah, she saw this fan with a beach ball and she lost it on him, and people are like, oh, you know, how dare you lose it on a fan who's just trying to be a fan with a beach ball? This is a concert. Beach balls and concerts are like condoms and sex, are like ice buckets and cool drinks, are like tan lines and chicken tenders, are like Rice Krispie squares and Cottonmouth, are like leprechauns and midgets, are like, you know, abdominal pain and surgery, are like, they go hand in hand. All right, that's the relationship between beach balls and concerts. But yeah, people were again judging this singer and saying, and then at another concert they bombarded her with a bunch of beach balls. What am I trying to get to? I'm glad you asked. Thank you. Again, we can judge Shirley Manson based on this one instance, or we can take a look and examine her life as a whole. Most of you may have not known that Shirley was actually traumatized. Her and her family were traumatized by beach balls when she was young. Shirley was with her family and a gang of beach balls bum rushed them and basically attempted to do a gangbang on her entire family when she was very young. Extremely traumatizing. She lost 3 of her fathers. You don't know Shirley's life. All right, she may have had 3 gay fathers, and a gang of beach balls nearly took all of them. They took them, but they returned them, and that was quite traumatizing for Shirley. So there you go. Once again, so jump into conclusions. She saw a beach ball, lost it on a fan, and everybody's like, why would she lose? Well, you don't know her backstory, do ya? All right. So once again, I just want to clarify before we go out and judge people based on our, initial view of the whole situation. Just give yourself a little bit of space. That's what I give yourself a ton of space. Back up for a second. All right. Back the fuck up for a second. All right. How would you react if you and your family were about to get jumped by a gang of beach balls who are wielding knives, who are twirling chains, metal chains, who are dragging the chains? These beach balls are thugs, hooligans, dragging chains on the ground. Little sparks are going off the ground because this metal, so metal hits the pavement and then, sparks fly. They're in their cars and their windows are tinted, like really, really, it's a dark tint and you don't know what's going on, and you hear the vibration from the inside of the car. It's loud music, loud music, and then they open the door and 20 beach balls come out just spitting loogies at you and swearing at you and using all sorts of racial slurs, and they're calling you all sorts of nasty, and that could happen to anyone. So before you go and judge Shirley Manson, we could just say that she had a bad experience with beach. All right, fine. I don't know the story either. I was trying to help. It's the holiday season. Let's just bring everybody together once again. Trying to get in there and just maintain the holiday spirits. But I'm telling you guys, not an easy job. But somebody's got to do it. I know what you're thinking. No need to thank me again. Just trying to bring people together. That's all I'm trying to do. All right. So Shirley may or may not have had a traumatizing experience with that beach ball, but we don't know. We don't know. All right? That's that. Maybe she got molested by a beach ball. Ever think about that? U.S. Coast Guards or Marines or Air Force and the Navy. I don't know who it was. Part of the U.S. Army, beautiful Army of the United States of America. They seized an oil tanker off of Venezuela just the other day. They did that, and I just want to explain something to you. Most people don't know what to do with oil. This is not anything personal. This is not anything you're like, why would you take the oil off why would you take their oil tanker? Why would you take it? You don't know what to do with it. You don't know what to do with the oil. We know what to do with the oil. It'd be a shame to have all that oil in the hands of oil novices, you could say that. You don't want to mess up the oil. So that's why we take it. That's why we take it. We will continue to take it. As a matter of fact, a lot of people around the world just don't know what to do with their oil and other natural resources. And that's why we take it. That's why we take it. You wouldn't know where to even begin on how to handle oil. It comes with a lot of responsibility. You're welcome. Actually, this is a favor. Consider this a favor. Venezuela, other nations around the world as well. If you've got it, we'll take it. It's ours, because again, you don't know. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? You're not going to do anything productive with it. We're going to put it to good use. You're going to mishandle it. You're going to misuse it. You're going to use it inappropriately. You're going to lather yourself up in all that oil and be like, oh, look at us. And we're not going to do that. We take pride in utilizing oil in a proper sense. We make sure that it gets used up in industries where it's meant to get used. We're saving your life. We're saving your lives, plural. Many lives are getting saved because of this oil tanker being seized and other resources being seized soon as well, because you don't know what to do. You're going to hurt yourself. You don't want to hurt yourself out there. You think it's easy playing around with oil and other resources. You think it's easy to just go in there and, oh, we'll just dig a hole and pull all this oil out and like use it for, what are you going to use it for? Dummy. So yeah, because that once that hole is punctured in the earth and that starts erupting oil, you're going to get it all yourself. Your family members are going to be drenched in oil. Your whole city is going to be drowning in oil, man. You don't want to die like that, do you? Don't be an idiot. We're going to take the oil, so you don't even need it. What are you going to even do with it? What are you going to do with this black, thick substance? What are you going to do with it? You don't know how to use it properly anyway. So we're saving you. I know initially some people might be like, oh, why should we? Yes, of course. It comes with great power comes great responsibility to take oil, essentially, and other things too. But this time it happens to be oil, and other instances it might be other stuff that we would, again, most people don't know how to use things. Okay, if you knew, you'd use it, but you don't. So we got to take it. All right, so that's just, again, we took this oil tanker and we will take more. It's easy to get the oil, and people, you know how many people spill oil all the time and slip on it and die? Do you want to die? Venezuela? Or Venezuelans, or other people around the world too that have oil. Do you want to just because we've seen the stats on, people dig a hole, spew out there, there's the oil, and the next thing you know, grandmas fucking slipping, breaking everything in their body, grandpas following suit because they're attached at the hip. They actually slip together because they're attached at the hip. It's incestual, the relationship that grandma and grandpa, because they're Siamese grandparents, and they don't ask me about the relationships, man. I make the rules. They just slipped and fell and broke all their and that's just one instance. You know how many millions of people have lost their limbs to oil? Oh my God, this is hot oil spewing it right on my face. I'm drowning. And people panic when that oil's going up in the air. You know what people do when they panic? They grab funnels and they open their mouth and put the funnel in their mouth, and then all of a sudden the whole batch of oil is going down in their person, and they die. They suffocate right then and there. So we're saving you. You're welcome. It's actually quite rude that you're not paying us for us saving you. We're literally doing this for free. This is not even free. It's costing us money to come and take your oil. So, but I don't want to hear it, man. I don't want to hear any of it. You're welcome. Enough is enough. And yeah, we're coming for it. And other places too. So to be careful. If you got things and you don't know how to use it, it's like giving a child a pair of scissors, It's like giving a child oily scissors. And what you want to do? You want to fucking go around and give children oily, slippery scissors? No. So this is, once again, it's just us doing the right thing, and you're welcome. All right. I want to clarify if there was any sort of, misconception as to why we're taking the oil. It's because you don't know how to use it. You're not responsible with it. We'll take good care of it. We'll nurse it. We'll raise it to grow up to be good oil, good, honest, hardworking oil. Who go out there and put in an honest day's worth of work, get a little bit of sweat on the old brow and earn its keep, that kind of, not some feral oil who's just fucking whistling and hooting and hollering at the bitches on the corner of the street and, trying to get a little bit of tail. That kind of just, feral, latchkey oil with no guidance. Not that good. We take care of our own, man. Or you leave people and the oil to go about their business and live life to their own accord. Next thing you know, it's just leather jackets and loose jeans and maybe a wife beater underneath the leather jacket, and maybe a toothpick on the corner of your mouth, and maybe you know, slick back hair, and maybe, you know, just you know, a pair of nice boots, and maybe a hog or some sort of a motorcycle, and, you know, maybe some sort of a nice breeze, and all of a sudden you're sipping on a beer and a whole afternoon's gone by, and you're hanging out with your other friends who are also dressed similarly, and you're just you know, you're like, give me a reason, and you're just like, oh, what do you we've seen that story before. We don't want that. We you know, you get up and you do that. We take care of the oil. The oil is going to get up at a certain time, make its bed. All right. Have some goals in life. Get a little bit of education. Work. Show up. Responsible. All right. That oil's not going to fucking blame anybody else when things are not working out. That oil, under our supervision, will fucking take responsibility and grow up to have a family of his own, of other baby oils. That's right. Think about the baby oil. Unless you don't care about baby oils and you just want to see it fucking wander off without any parental supervision, and we've seen how that story ends. Yeah, life in prison. So you're fucking welcome, Venezuela, and other places around the world too. You're fucking welcome. Welcome back to the program. This portion of the program is called the Bear With Me portion of the program. So thank you for joining me once again after these beautiful messages that we just received from our donors and sponsors, which is Big Oil and Big McDonald's and Big Australia. These could be our potential sponsors. You don't know that. Welcome back. Welcome back to the program. Welcome back to the segment of the program that's called Bear With Me. Welcome to the Bear With Me segment of the program. Should I step out of the frame and then come back? Could we do that one more time? Let's do that one more time. Thank you for joining me. This is the Bear With Me. One more time. Let's just do that one more time. If I just want to fucking get it right. I want to get it right. One more take. Let's just. Welcome back to this segment of the program, the Bear With Me segment of the program. This segment of the program is called Bear With Me. I don't have a bear with me, but it's this segment of the program because we do have bear stories in this program. In the entirety of this program, we do have segments that include bears. And this portion of the program is concerning a bear and his handler in China. A bear handler got attacked in China. This is the Bear With Me segment of the program. A bear handler got attacked by his bear in China. How to handle your bear. I know this is a different story than the oil from Venezuela, but again, this goes back to not utilizing what you got properly and perhaps not asking us directly for assistance, but low-key being extremely overt with your asking for help when it comes to, in this case, how should I handle my bear? Thank you for putting that out there. Of course, this does not look good for the CCP. Bear handling is an art that works best in a free market. You could see in the video, you could see the bear attacking the handler, and that's the bear's innate frustration with communist ideology. And he's saying in his bear tongue, in his native bear, to get off of me, Chinaman. The bear said that. He said that, get off of me with your communist views and your Maoist perspectives. The bear said that. And other handlers came in and eventually helped the one handler who was getting attacked. But this would have never happened, of course, in a free market. This would have never happened in somewhere where there is laissez-faire for days on, and the days are long, but the nights are even longer, and sometimes like depending where you are, like if you're in Alaska, then the days are like really long, and I'm sure there's places where the night is extreme. Really, it's location, 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 and that is the key. So where do we find the bear? In the jungle, the mighty jungle. It's where the lion sleeps. Not just tonight, on many a nights, but that's where sometimes the bear could be found as well. And preferably you'd leave the bear in the jungle. But again, communist tendencies tend to want to bring everybody in and say that everybody's the same. Look, bear, same as a person, person, same as the bear, everybody equal. Well, they end up owning all the bears and all the people, and you could see the frustration was just, you can't cage an animal for that long without them having some sort of a, outburst of a, just, it's, you could see the bear wants to move around. And yeah, maybe if you find yourself being attacked by a bear, always our goal is to, it's an initiative, it's a grassroots effort to globally make sure that people know how to fend against bears. And we don't care for what kind of bear, whether it's a communist bear, a socialist bear, or a capitalist bear. If you're getting attacked by a bear, don't back down. In this case, the trainer or the handler was assisted by other trainers and handlers, which diminishes your manhood in front of everyone. You don't want that to happen. In fact, I'd rather die wrestling a bear than have other people assist me into like fending off the bear and like saving. That's I don't even wish that upon my enemies, and I don't even have enemies. But if I did, I'd never even wish that upon them, because that's just, that's terrible. So yeah, I'd suggest you go see a doctor and get some injections of testosterone immediately, so to boost your testosterone right now, bear handler angina. Because that's terrible. You might as well get a sex change at this point and put on a dress. My God, so embarrassing. But again, fight the bear, punch the bear in the nose if it's attacking you. Do not be alarmed by the size of the bear. And get naked. A lot of times people don't actually, because animals fight naked. If they see you get naked, they respect it. That's one of the things they don't teach you anywhere for that matter. And again, I know this section of the program is called Bear With Me, but in any other case where you're fighting an animal, get naked. Nobody wants to tell you this because, once again, it could be one of those, esoteric pieces of knowledge that's been hidden from us for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. Thank you for joining me once again in this section of the program dubbed Bear With Me. Come with me, traveling to the FBI's most wanted list. We've landed on a list that is long and wide, because you don't want a list that's just long. Nobody likes a long and thin list. You want a good girth on your list. So this is a good list. It's an average girth, good size, proportionally speaking, good girth and length when it comes to this list. So it satisfies most people's needs, unless you're some kind of whore and you're some kind of list queen, and you're like, oh, this is not enough girth on this list, and well, then you're just maybe fucking tighten up, maybe get some vaginoplasty and fucking tighten up then, if it's not girthy enough, or if this list does not satisfy your needs. And I suggest you maybe don't mention it to anyone. How about that? Maybe just fucking low-key keep it to yourself. Maybe it's just, all right? Maybe you could be tighter. Maybe if you're like, this list is long but not wide enough, maybe it's time for you to tighten up the old vaginoo. I'm just putting it out there. If this list does not do it for you, well then, it's the FBI's list, all right? It's the most wanted. It's not the least wanted. It's not even like, we'll kind of want this. It's the list that's wanted by everyone. That's that kind of list. Fucking length and girth and width and height and depth. It's not even the size of the list that matters on the outside. Really, it's what's inside the list that counts. You slut. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is about the FBI's most wanted list. And a lady, Mary McDonald. Mary McDonald just made the list at 74. This is a beautiful story. This is a beautiful story because it touches me and you probably. She made the list by posing as a heir to a fake, no, she posed as a fake airline heiress. And she went to the banks in California and she said, I'm a fake, well, she didn't say I'm a fake airline heiress. She just went into the banks and said, I'm an heiress to an airline dynasty. And I'm gonna come into a whole lot of money. Like I'm coming into like $80 million of secret monies like next week or sometime soon. She said that to the banks and the banks saw that. And then as soon as they started hearing this, and what do banks do? You know, what do banks do when you say you're coming into money or you got a lot of money coming onto you or you know, money's making advances on you, whether you like it or not. That's what money does. You know, whistling and hooting and hollering, you know how money acts. When it sees you, she said she's coming into a lot of money and she wants to take a loan and get some monies from the bank. And she did that. She went into different banks and got millions of dollars from different banks, upwards of, I want to say $30 million if I'm remembering this correctly. She got $30 million from different banks by posing as a fake airline tycoon essentially, and now she's on the loose. And she used to be a CEO for like a film production company at one point or another, and now she's on the loose at 74. This sort of, I'm not a fan of crime, but I am a fan of crime that has no real, if it doesn't hurt people, I kind of low-key root for it. Low-key, if you want my honest opinion, when it comes to defrauding banks, I love banks, but also I do enjoy people robbing banks. I've said that from the get-go. You guys know me. This is not new information. You know I like robbing banks. I said it like a million times. And she did it essentially with finessing and, you know, acting and lying and deceiving and without hurting anybody, really. That's the beauty. She got 30 million. She might be somewhere in Dubai right now. And she made the FBI's most wanted list at 74. Moral of that story is it's never too late to give up on your dreams. That's the moral of that story. Who am I rooting for in this particular instance? Again, many, many years of watching many great movies, heists, robberies, thieves, rooting for the bad guys who are, you know, and sometimes the good guys, a lot of times the good guys too, but in instances where you're like watching a robbery go down, and this bitch did it, 74. Nobody got hurt. Stole millions of dollars from banks, which again, what are they going to do with all this money in the vault anyway? It's not like they're going to use it for something. And so she took it, she made the list, and made me happy a little bit. I'm rooting for her. Again, she might be somewhere in Dubai. They said that. So if you do see a beautiful 74-year-old blonde woman with massive tits and is just living the life in Dubai, she might be Mary McDonald. Get on that, marry that woman instantly, because 74, you know, put in what, she's gonna live up to 100 years? You put in a good 25 year. You're 25 years old right now, you're in the Middle East, you find this woman, you get married, all right? She's probably not gonna even make it to 100. Most people, you know, 80, 90, that's top. 10, 15 years, and you got yourself millions of dollars and no one's the wiser. Of course, she might be caught, she might not be, but it warms my heart to see good forms of, you know, when nobody got hurt and there's been money taken from banks, which take money from people all day, every day, with all the fees and the not giving the loans for the businesses and just not really taking care of people. So this warms my heart. I know. This warms my heart. I don't care what you think. If you're like, no, she's a criminal, well, then suck it. That's your perspective. Suck it. She is a criminal. She's not a murderess. She's not a rapist. She took money from the bank. It's all right in my books. Just want to share that with the gang. God, always having to look over your shoulder though. That is tense. That is a life or you get a little bit of plastic surgery. I'm sure it goes a long way. You get a little bit of plastic surgery, there's probably no looking over your shoulder. You're good. You're golden, baby. You're golden. Live your life. Live your life. Speaking of living life, somebody was living it to the point where they died. They lived life so much that they died. Bringing us to our next story, of course. This is Connie Aguilar versus the Royal Caribbean Cruise. Last year, a 35-year-old man, Michael Virgil, died on the Royal Caribbean Cruise because he drank a lot. He was given drinks. Well, he took the drinks. He bought tickets to the cruise, and they give out drinks, and he took many drinks, upwards of 33 drinks apparently. They said that he took. I remember this vaguely. A man on a cruise died because there was a video of him. He intoxicated. There was a video of this giant man kind of like, going off the reservation. Once again, 3/4 of a circle in. That's where we're at right now. More than halfway through the circle. Get ready to put it in. Once again, bending time over and just slipping it in. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, yes, so this gentleman got 33 drinks and got intoxicated, started acting violently, and, people, the staff there, jumped on him, whatnot. Unfortunate events, one thing led to another, he died. They tackled him, they sat on him, I don't know what they did, but he died. He was intoxicated, and he was just maybe trying to get to his room, but he was being aggro. He scared the people there. So they jumped and tried to, reprehend him, and then they killed him, allegedly. But now his wife is suing Royal Caribbean Cruise, and most of the time when people are suing, I'm on the side of the individual versus companies or corporations. That's the underdog. That's once again same thing with Mary McDonnell, underdog. She's not. Banks is the overdog. So again, in this case, typically I go with the underdog. But in this case, low-key, I feel like Royal Caribbean Cruises, I've never been on them, but that's a lot of drinks. But that's a good thing. You want a ton of drinks. That's a solid drink. What do you want to go to a cruise that gives you like tickets and you only get like 2 drinks per person? That's the most lit cruise. You could say that. That's the most awesome experience you could wish to have on a cruise. You party so much, you get intoxicated to the point where you become a danger to yourself and others, and then they eventually kill you. Now that's a cruise. You don't want to go to a cruise and be like, oh, there's one drink. So she's suing right now, alleging that they should have stopped him at one point with giving him so many drinks. But also, where's the whole personal responsibility? Where's the whole take responsibility side of the whole equation? Which most of the times, again, I would say fucking sue the company, sue the corporation. I'd say that, but this is again, I like to be fair and objective as much as possible. And we all have our biases. And again, big time fan of the underdog. But in this instance, I'm just saying I like a cruise that's giving out ample amounts of drinks. I can't see them for, maybe they could have handled the case better when he's aggravated and he's assaulting people or about to assault himself or other people. Who knows? Maybe they could have done a better job on safety and security. But in terms of the 33 drinks, I don't think that's, you don't want to go in you're stuck on a ship, first of all. I'm not a fan of being stuck in one place in the middle of the ocean on a cruise. That's one of the things that's kept me from traveling on cruises, to be honest with you, because it's just, I'm not claustrophobic or anything. It's just like, if I want to leave, I'd like to have the ability to leave. I don't want to have to wait for a captain, for a guy wearing a nice suit and a cool captain's hat. And it makes me want to get that suit and hat. And I just I can only take so much of the guy in the suit and the hat with the captain. And at one point or another, it's like, we got to have a conversation to figure out, to see if there's a way where we can all have these suits and caps, because low key, they do look really fun. Captain suits and hats, you know what I'm talking about. Navy shit, fucking ship life. Borderline piracy, borderline that wet life, you know what I'm talking about, boat life, cruise life. yeah, so this instance, I'm gonna say that I'm with the cruise. I'm with the cruise. I think you could serve up to as many drinks as you like to the people. In fact, this should be a great advertising. If you wanna party to the point where you die, you take a Royal Caribbean cruise this coming holiday season. Enjoy yourselves. But also, Loki, I do feel bad for her too as well. So, because that's fucking, when it comes down to it, I'm a softie, dude. When it comes down to it, so give her some money as well, but make sure she never gets on any other cruises and she doesn't drink at all. Okay, fine, let her back on the cruise and give her some drinks, but throw some money at her too. But again, I do feel, I'm torn on this one. But again, if I had to give it to somebody, it's the cruise. I'm going with the cruise this time, despite my, again, if you know anything about me, always rooting for the underdog, but I'm gonna go with the Royal Caribbean cruise for doing a good job at providing ample amounts of drinks. Because that's one thing, you would hate that, to come there on a ship and be like, oh man, limited amount of drinks. You'd kill yourself probably before, so if anything, they prolonged his existence. You don't know, he might have killed himself prior if he was not given drinks. You don't know that. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's my opinion and thoughts on Connie Aguilera and the Royal Caribbean cruise. Court dismissed. Now, I have heard this, and again, just trying to, it's the holiday season, it's the holiday spirits is within all of us. Christmas is around the corner. It's easy to get agitated, it's easy to get revved up, get in your feelings, and people, whether it's family, friends, co-workers, colleagues, might sometimes, lash out at each other sometimes. And it's just, this happened in the beautiful Hollywood Hills. I'm actually not sure where it happened, but it's Hollywood related. Quentin Tarantino, Hollywood director, Hollywood director Quentin Tarantino, who's directed in Hollywood, lashed out and came after Hollywood actor Paul Dano for his he criticized Paul Dano's acting skills, abilities. Not quite sure, to be honest with you. It's Quentin Tarantino, beloved director, Hollywood director and actor, mostly director. Big time Hollywood director Quentin Tarantino attacks Paul Dano, who's a young actor in Hollywood. Not like the youngest, but he's relatively young, so he's young. Paul Dano, have not seen too many of his movies, personally speaking. I know there's one famous scene where he's there's a movie, I think it's a movie called There Will Be Blood, starring Paul Dano. Paul Dano, starring Paul Dano. There Will Be Blood, starring Paul Dano, and Daniel Day-Lewis, and Paul Dano, Paul Dano. And there's a scene, I've seen the movie clip, but I don't know what the movie is about. I don't think you'd get to work with Daniel Day-Lewis if you're not a good actor. I don't see initially I didn't see what could be the cause of the criticism. I think, I like to say this, I'm a fan of movies, entertainment. I'm a fan of Quentin's work. Did not watch There Will Be Blood, which I can only imagine because of the title, what the movie was about. There Will Be Blood. It's two actors who are taking on roles as people who enjoy blood. It's a movie, if you've not seen it, it's a movie about bloodlust. It's a movie about two fellas who get into it, really, about who loves blood more and who is prepared more for the oncoming loads of blood, because again the title of the movie is There Will Be Blood. It's not like there's going to be this is a lack of blood. There's not going to be any blood in this one. So it's bloodlust. It's a little bit of murder, I'm assuming, because again there will be blood, plenty of blood to go around. It's about the health industry taking blood from sick people, and then if they're really sick, taking all their blood, giving good blood to them, which you've extracted from healthy people. There will be blood, as you've seen it. There's a scene with Daniel Day-Lewis and Paul Dano, and Daniel Day-Lewis is talking passionately about he's using a milkshake as a form of, like, analogy, you could say. He's like, if there was a milkshake, if you had a milkshake, again, milkshake representing blood. He's like, and I had a milkshake, I'd go back and I'd come and put my straw in your milkshake and suck your milkshake out, and I'll suck your milkshake out and drink your milkshake. And again, that milkshake, symbolic representation of blood. So there's a little bit of, again, it's about the health industry, health in general, a little bit of low-key vampire vibes, because there will be blood. It's two vampires who are living in times where there's like a lack of blood, but now the gates have been opened. Now there's a ton of blood, and they never even mention the word blood or anything. They don't even show that much blood, but it's like, you could feel it in the performance. It's there. It's mostly about blood, but it's great. I enjoy that scene. But I could see how Quentin Tarantino made that comment. Now I'm watching that clip, I know why Quentin Tarantino made that comment. And that, my friends, is because of milkshakes. That's right, milkshakes. And you're like, why would he make a comment about Paul Dano's acting? Well, I'll tell you what, if you have watched Pulp Fiction, and many of you have out there, you know that there is a famous scene between John Travolta and Uma Thurman. And they're sitting down in a diner and they're sharing a milkshake, and Uma Thurman is in her prime, slurping on a milkshake, and then she hands John Travolta the milkshake, and he takes a sip of the $5 milkshake, and so this, you could see how one might get aggravated or agitated about somebody else in the future coming and taking the concept of a milkshake and trying to make a reference to a milkshake. And so Quentin was probably a little bit low-key, just like, oh, I made this movie about milkshakes and how great $5 milkshakes are, and here we go, these guys are making a movie about blood and using references of a milkshake. And it's like, at the end of the day, I think there's a good song out there. There's a lyric that comes to mind. Milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. Dano's is better than yours. Something along those lines. I can remember that. And is it though? A question mark. And from my understanding, I think all milkshakes are good milkshakes. You can't go wrong with a milkshake. Do you want a thick milkshake with a lot of viscosity, where you really got to work your jaw and like put in a good workout, and that's prep work for giving deep throat? Or you want a milkshake that's a little bit watered down and like, but you get more in your mouth, and that's also prepping you for deep throating activities. All in all, I'd like to see Quentin and Paul squashing their beef. Let us come together. There's no reason for anyone really at this time of year to be fighting. Let's say bygones be bygones. Let's make movies together. You guys should make a movie together. I don't want to see Quentin Tarantino putting a limit on himself in terms of how many movies he's gonna make, because I've heard him say, I'm only gonna make one more movie after Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And I say, you've got plenty of life to live. People love your movies, make more movies. And to Paul Dano, performance-wise, from having seen that one depiction with Daniel Day-Lewis's, I like it. He's in Batman too. He's made a bunch of other movies which I've not seen, but a great actor nonetheless. And you two, sir, should go and maybe make a movie together. Make a movie together. And make a movie together about milkshakes. There we go. Make a movie together about what humanity's about. Milkshakes. And that, my friends, is a little bit of just bringing people together for the holiday seasons. Until next time, we've now come full circle. Remember, Milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. Dano's is better than yours? Open-ended. Until next time. Peace out. Get out of here.